No, none been made. So we'll move on to good news. I've just got one story, and that's regarding NICE. I'm working on behalf of the Highland Council, taking forward the two key feasibility studies for Nairn at the links and public toilets, and the feasibility study for Nairn Riverside Development Plan. By working together, NICE and the Highland Council are combining legal insights, strategic expertise to develop community-led proposals that support growth and enhance Nairn's natural environment. This collaborative approach helps ensure that the future investment is well informed, deliverable, and focused on achieving real benefits for people of Nairn. We're better together. So, is there any other news end we'd like to highlight? Okay, I'm seeing no hands. So we'll move on to item 4. And it's also a pleasure to welcome Craig Johnson. I'm not ascribing a rank, Craig. You've probably been promoted.
See, Councillor Jarvie's got her hand up.
Babs, I never saw your hand up, mate. My apologies.
Just to highlight the stats for the Book and Art Festival. I've been doing their, oh, geez, oh, it's gone. We've got their economic and social impact, which is an annual report to see what it brings to the area for the annual Book and Art Festival, and they added to the local economy. Now this only runs for a week, and a few things either side of that and in our schools and things, but the benefit to our community is £221,438 for 2025. That's quite phenomenal given the number of volunteers that help with that. There are some paid staff that work all year round towards it, massive amount of work. 90% of the audience agree the festival increases community spirit, gives people new interests, there's free things on, it covers all ages, and it's a fantastic thing for the Nairnshire area, and anyone wanting to join as a volunteer or come or go on the committee are most welcome to come to the AGM on the 2nd of March at 7 o'clock at the Community and Arts Centre. But please do support your local Book and Arts. Oh, transparency statement, I'm on the committee, but they're a fabulous team, and I did my tiny effort. It's people do loads and loads behind the scenes, but certainly merits
okay, Babs, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll certainly highlight that, and a point's well made. Okay, I'll follow my introduction, Craig. As I say, I didn't ascribe a rank to you. I'm not quite sure where you're at these days in the rapid promotion ladder. So from that point of view, I'll just hand over to you. I don't think we need too much because from you, it's more for the questions. It's a very, very comprehensive, very detailed report, and I'm sure everybody, I certainly have got a lot of questions to ask you. So rather than myself, I'll just open it up. And there's other councillors wish to ask, unless Craig, you wish to speak to the report, but it's a very detailed report and all the information's there. So unless you really want to speak to it, I don't have anything else to say. I would open it up to the members.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chair. I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go. Councillor Fraser.
Yes, I've had concerns from the housing department. They used to have a weekly meeting once a week on Monday mornings with the police over the incidents or problems they have in the housing estates, and that stopped some months ago. They'd like to try and get these restarted. They've had a number of cases of smashed windows, intimidation, spray painting. We've had a couple of stabbings in the last few months. There's just a feeling where things are getting out of hand in the town, and they'd like to try and be on top of the problems involving their tenants, or where people are coming in and causing disruption to their properties and their tenants. Can we have a look and try and get that restarted again?
Yeah, do you know who the contact was for those meetings? Because it wasn't anyone, it wasn't myself. It might be through our sort of.
I don't know. I don't know who the police. No, I don't know who the police was, but it's just a housing staff in there. Would like to do a sit down in an hour with you.
Okay, I will certainly inquire into that. There certainly have been 2 incidents of note in the last several months in the Nairn area, largely involving the same groups of people. The main perpetrator for one of those instances has been remanded in custody, which is welcome news
Oh, that's fine, yes.
due to his continued offending. But yeah, I'm certainly aware of those incidents you refer to.
Okay.
Okay, Lewis.
Chair, if I may, Craig, the best contact in housing would be Christine McKenzie, our Principal Housing Officer. I can forward you her email separately.
Brilliant, thank you, Lewis.
Thanks, Chair.
Okay, am I seeing Councillor Jarvie's hand up?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Yes, just Laudie's kind of covered it there, but yeah, just local concern about the level of aggression and drugs as well that's going on in there. But good to see that you've got somebody in custody. You're saying there's repeat offenders. It's a shame. The majority of Nairn folk are very law-abiding and well decent, and it's a shame that these certain individuals kind of spoil it and make the headlines. It's but it does put fear into people. Is the early release a problem? You know, people are getting sentenced, but they're not actually doing the sentence for the crime. It's the early release, and the whole payback scheme. Is that well enough staffed for? Oh, sorry. Is that well enough staffed for people to actually carry out their payback hours? And should there be more help there? Another concern is the rise in domestic crime. Is this historical crime or is this new crime? You know, like cases from years ago that people are now braver at coming forward to have it addressed. Or is this sort of new crime? And what could we do to support this and highlight support that is out there? Is there enough support out there for these people?
So, a couple of points there, Councillor. In terms of just to reflect what you've said, the vast majority of Nairn, and obviously the people in Nairn are perfectly law-abiding. It continues to be an extremely safe place to live. However, there is a very small minority, probably amounting to 6 or 7 people, who are responsible for the offences you refer to, which make the headlines. So those 2 incidents which you're probably referring to, several people have been charged with those, and one of them, as I say, has been remanded in custody. In terms of the early release, those the crime types affected by the early release are generally lower level and wouldn't apply to the instances we are referring to, thankfully. In terms of the payback scheme, that's a criminal justice way of dealing with offences, and it's not something the police have any involvement in at all, really. Perhaps I can certainly find out contacts who might be able to help provide more information than I can about that scheme, and get back in touch with you about that, because I'm perhaps not the best person. In terms of domestic crime type, you're absolutely right to highlight an increase there in relation to South Highland area. There's actually been an increase of 73 offences compared to the same period last year. What I will say, however, is that it's not just Nairn that's experiencing that, and it's reflective across the whole South Highland area. And I don't, is it, your question was, is it historical offences now being reported? I don't think that's the case. So therefore, I guess you would rightly ask, well, why is there an increase? And I don't know. But what I can say is that there is a lot of work ongoing to understand that, because it is a significant increase, as you point out. So there is prevention intervention work going on to better understand why that is, and then hopefully deal with it. But you're right to point out the increase.
Okay. Oh, the other thing was the graffiti down at Riverside, the spray paint that Laurie alluded to. Did you know that there's also very, very similar on Bloch Bridge? I wonder if somebody's accessing our free buses and deciding to go for bridges. Seems
Okay,
to be
I will
Is
I
this
will
a
allocate that
latest
to.
frenzy? I don't know. I just
I will,
wondered if it's happening elsewhere in Highland.
not that I'm aware of, councillor. I will allocate a sergeant to have a look at that and see if there's because they use tags, so it is what they call tags. So it is quite easy to identify that it's committed by the same person. So I'll get that inquired
Yes.
into and ensure that that's being looked at.
Okay, I'll send you pictures. Okay,
Thank you.
right. Thanks,
Thanks,
Craig.
Councillor. Laurie,
I just come in on that one. It's not just the riverside. It's right round there and in the high door boxes and the BT boxes. You see that it's the same tag. I've picked that up in the last few weeks. Bit annoying. Just can't seem to catch the individuals involved.
And do you know if
With a
all
wee
these
bit down.
instances are being reported to the police?
I doubt it, because nobody reports this things like that. It's only if you catch them or see them you'd report it.
Yeah, well,
It's one of these things.
I suspect you're right that they're not all reported, but some will be, and I'll ensure that they're all looked at and reviewed to see if there's any or what commonality there is between them in case there's a suspect for one, because clearly that would suggest there's a suspect for several more.
Okay, great.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks for that, Craig. I have a few points to make myself. As I said earlier, it's a detailed and a comprehensive report, and I say it's important that this gets widespread coverage and we get it out into the public domain so that people can understand the challenges officers face and how effective they are in dealing with these challenges. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Which brings me to my first point. I see the reduction in backroom staff. Is this the type of report we're going to get going forward, or is it because of the reduction in the backroom staff, will it be reduced?
So this is the new format,
Good.
and so Nairn figures are encompassed in the whole of the South Highland, which includes Bannistrathspey, Lochaber and Skye Lochalsh. However, each area does have its own, starting from community council level, each community council has its own dedicated officer who the chairs of whom can go to that officer and ask for specific details at any time. Equally, if any of yourselves have specific queries around statistics for Nairnshire, please come to me and I'll happily explore into the figures a bit more if you have specific concerns around graffiti or speeding or anything like that, and I'll be more than happy to delve a bit more detailed for you.
Well, that's good to know. And the other one, the point I was going to make was on the drink, drag, driving. Now, at a recent briefing at Highland Council, I forget the senior officer who it was, they mentioned, and I find it quite an alarming statistic, is that the number of people who tested positive, however that's been measured, for drug-related offences whilst driving versus the traditional approach of drink driving, you know, which is a long light on the Highland, shall we say, it dwarfs the level of alcohol-related offences. Is that held? I'll just get your take on that, because I've never seen anybody prosecuted for driving while under the influence of drugs. I'm not quite sure how you measure that. Alcohol, yes, we know how you do that, but I'd imagine drugs, there's so many different ones that folk can, you know, use it. I'm just not sure if there's a standardisation of testing or if how you bring a successful, when I mean successful, somebody's prosecuted for this. So it's to try and get a wee bit of clarity on just the process. So
the number of drug drivers has overtaken the number of drink drivers just by a few percent over the last year. And that'll be for a few reasons. A significant reason will be the increase in the number of officers trained in testing drivers for drugs. I noted that this weekend there was another drug driver detected in the Nairnshire area. And the way it works is if there is a suspicion, and it could be that they start off seeing that the person is impaired, but they provide a negative sample in terms of drink driving, but they're still suspected to be under the influence of something. So we can take a swab from their saliva, and that will give a initial indication that they're under the influence of specific drug types, and it could be cannabis, it could be cocaine, could be other things. So if that proves to be a positive test, they will be arrested and taken back to the police station where a blood sample will be taken, and that will give specific amounts of whatever drug it is in their system, and it will work the way through the court system the same way as a drink driver would. In terms of prosecutions, I suppose that unfortunately there are so many of them, it wouldn't necessarily make the headlines, if you like, because it's almost, and I'm careful about saying this, but it's almost business as usual in terms of the police and the criminal justice system, unfortunately. So there are multiple prosecutions on a regular basis, but that's a general overview of how the whole process works.
Yeah. So I was trying to get to it. It's a quantitative assessment rather than a qualitative. Yes, there is a threshold. That's what I was trying to get to. Okay, and the second point I was going to make, and this is about online crime, and that seems to be rising. Now, a detection rate 12.1%. I'd imagine it's a level of reporting is reflected in the detection rate. I'd imagine the scale of the crime is, because I know every day I get through fraudulent emails. It's quite bewildering why folk would continue year in, year out sending me things to which I don't respond. There's so much goes unreported. I think that the whole point of this is education, and that's why it's important to get this out. And it's important that people do report these crimes, because I feel this is a significant, this is just anecdotal, but I'm sure it'll be borne out by yourself. It's just such a massive area of growth, online crime. And it's just education, I think, is the key to this, especially for older people, to get out to them that if you think it's the slightest bit dodgy, just move on. So it's just, I was making a general inquiry there because I think it's worth doing.
Absolutely right. And unfortunately, you've alluded to it already, that it is the older, more vulnerable people who fall foul of these scams. And our prevention and intervention officers do spend a lot of time following up with these people to ensure that they're not repeat victims. But there's been numerous media sort of attempts to reach out to vulnerable groups to try and ensure that they don't become victim to these frauds, but some do slip through the net. But you're absolutely right, probably the majority aren't reported to us because people are embarrassed by it or any other reasons.
Okay, no, that's fine. I think we can all have a small part to play in promoting this and telling people to report it, because once you know what you're dealing with, you can possibly try and get better resources. But if there's no other, Councillor Oldham, I don't see your hand up. Craig, thank you for that, and we'll come to the recommendations. And it is that the committee is invited to note the progress made against the objectives set within the Highland Local Policing Plan 23 to 26, attached as Annex 1 to the report for the period covering the 1st of April 2025 to the 31st of December 25. And secondly, the change in format necessitated by a reduction in back office capacity to prepare additional area committee reports. So are we agreed? Noted? Yeah. Noted, Craig. Thank you as always. I'm very appreciative of your candid approach. Thank you. Right, we'll move on now, and we will go to item 5, which is the area roads capital. And that's who's presenting? That's
Tom Ashton.
Chair. Okay, Tom. Yes, Tom.
Good morning, members. Stephen Grant was supposed to be here as area manager to present this, but he's got personal problems at the moment and has had to take some days off. So I'm just stepping in last minute, if you don't mind. Yeah, I've not done this before, so I'm not sure what how I'm supposed to go about it. But we put the programme out to members previously, and I've sent out some maps recently to help you on that. I don't know if I've got do I need to put up the list at the moment?
If I may, I see Councillor Oldham's got his hand up.
Paul.
Yeah, sorry.
Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, Tom, I was just going to say thank you for the maps. Actually, I found them incredibly useful. We haven't had those in previous years, and I felt I really now have an understanding of exactly where we're going to be doing. Yeah, the spreadsheet's fine, but you have to know these names, and you know,
Yeah.
I look at names, doesn't mean anything to me. I look at the map, and go, oh, that road. Okay, I know which road that is, but I didn't know it was from there to, you know. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I thought it was a good idea to get a visual to go with the names. As I say, different names for people have called different places different names. So yeah.
I would say, Tom,
so the-
that, sorry, Tom, I would just say that
Yeah.
that's high praise indeed, coming with his cartographic background from Councillor Oldham. He's been a great assist to this committee with Google Maps and various things. So Councillor Oldham is pleased. You're making real progress. So I'll hand back to you, Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, the main ones we're doing when we get sight of what money we're going to spend this year is obviously Cairn Avenue, Trades Park area of Nairn, and then we've got Auchnamead into Little Urkenny. We're split up into 2 phases, but we'll, in all honesty, we'll probably do them in one go. And then the rest of it is a wish list. I know we've got it down here as, you know, in the way it's done, but we probably pick and choose the most appropriate ones to do with the money that we've got. I believe we're looking to get a little bit over what we got last year, which will be give us more scope to get into the wish list underneath and get some of these done. Is there any questions as to?
No, I can maybe give you a wee heads up if you haven't
Yeah.
already seen the papers. That's coming to E&I on Thursday, which I'll be chairing. And you know, you will be getting more money than next year. We're investing, this administration, significant amounts of money into roads capital. So there's good news for you on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'll open it up. Is there any good points you wish to make? I've got a couple.
No, I'm quite happy. It's a good report. I'm happy.
Yep.
Happy for the investment.
Okay, Stephen.
Sorry.
Tom. Babs, yes. It's my apology again.
Yes. No, it's Councillor Green is very positive about you getting more cash in the kitty for more tar. So if you had any extra, I noticed up in Codder, the road, the little short road from the pub is very badly pothrolled, and the junction onto Back Street is that's disintegrating quite a lot there. If there was a little surplus, that would be gratefully received up there.
We'll do a look into that. We have to watch what we're doing on there, because some of
Yes.
that isn't actually adopted. It's still owned by the estate, certain sections. So yeah, we've been asked a number of times to do certain sections, and we can't do some of it. We'd like to, but I'll have to look at. I think going up by the pub possibly is ours. I'll have to check again. But yeah, there's a couple of sections there that are not under the adoption. So yeah.
Now that you're saying that, there has been a few queries before. I will drop you an email about it.
Thank you.
Is that easier?
Well,
yes,
thank you, Councillor.
yes.
Yeah.
I'll pinpoint it for you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay,
I mean,
Tom.
just going through the money as well, so everybody's aware that we've put these figures down. These are figures that we put together. We tend to find that once we go out to tender for companies, that they come in with a quote for less than that. So we have got a little bit of leeway anyway within the programme.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll get a few of these done.
I always think it's a difficulty councils face. If you ascribe a value to a programme, then the contractor potentially may take that as the starting point. So it's encouraging to hear that it's coming in under, I don't mean universally, but it seems to be anecdotally what you're saying, that they will come in under what's projected. So, you know, that can only but be welcome.
Yeah, we don't go out to the companies and say, look, this is the programme and these are the figures. So unless they get public access to it, they wouldn't know. Yeah. Okay, but they're in competition against each other, so the prices are always competitive.
Okay. Well, watch your screen on Thursday, and I'm sure it'll be good news for you. So,
lovely, thanks, Chair.
If there's no other notes, we'll just go to the recommendation, and that is there's 3, and that's to approve the rolling programme of capital scheme as listed in Appendix 2 to the report, which will be a multi-year programme. 2, to note that the area budget will be available after the February Economy and Infrastructure, that's this Thursday, E&I Committee. And lastly, note that the rolling programme may require to be updated once results from the Scottish Road Maintenance Condition Survey have been received and considered. So, I would agree to note.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. Okay, well, sorry, to approve, yes?
Yeah,
Approved.
yes.
Thank you. Okay, Tom, thank you.
Thank you very much.
and
Thank you,
give our
Chair.
best-
Thank you,
Give
members.
our best to Stephen. Okay,
Thank
Well
you.
done. Thank you.
okay, guys, we're going to now move on to item 6, which is prime markings. So we have,
This is Scott Hunter, Chair, is online.
okay, Scott.
Good morning.
Yes, if you'd like to give us just a brief overview of the report, a fascinating report.
Perfect. That's no problem at all. So yes, this is the A939 Prime Markings Report. So this report seeks committee approval to install prime motorcycle safety signage and road markings on the A939 between Grantown and Nairn. Although prime markings have been successfully trialled, they are not yet approved in the traffic signs regulations and general direction guidelines, so each site requires committee approval. Prime stands for Perceptual Rider Information for Maximisation of Enjoyment and Expertise. They are innovative, research-led road markings and signage designed specifically to help motorcyclists negotiate bends safely. They have been developed through a partnership including Transport Scotland, Bear Scotland, the Road Safety Trust and Open Road Simulation Limited. Research shows primes promote more appropriate approach speeds, improved lane positioning and reduced braking at hazardous points. These are all key behaviours that reduce collision risks. From the national trials, the first phase that ran from 2020 to 2022, there were 22 trial sites with 32,000 motorbikes analysed. Findings show statistically significant positive behaviour change and no negative effects recorded. The project received major recognition, including winning the Prince Michael International Road Safety Award in 2023. The second phase ran from 2023 to 2025, and there were 35 sites on the trunk road network. The expected data set is about 47,000 motorcycles that will be looked at. The early results continue to show clear behavioural improvements. Transport Scotland has now provided installation toolkit to support a wider rollout. So why primes are proposed for the A939? The collision data between 2014 and 2024 for the Grantown to Nairn section shows that there was 1 fatal, 14 serious and 21 slight injury collisions on this road. 11 of these involved motorcyclists. Analysis undertaken by the project design team identified 6 specific bends where motorcyclists are overrepresented in collision statistics. These 6 bends are the proposed prime installation locations. The design process also included speed surveys, site visits, road condition assessments, and alignment with the prime installation criteria. So all design, installation and supervision costs are fully funded through the Road Safety Improvement Fund. Primes provide a low-cost, low-maintenance intervention. Research demonstrates that motorcyclists readily adopt these markings even though use is voluntary. Expected benefits include reduced casualties, fewer emergency responses, and wider socio-economic gains. These primes installations are the final component of a wider road safety improvement scheme, including bend warning signs and verge marker posts completed in 2025. The primes will act as the specific motorcyclist intervention for this route. So members are asked to note the background and research supporting prime measures and to approve the installation of prime signage and road markings on the A939 in Nairnshire. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I have 1 or 2 things to say, but I'll open it up first. Is there anybody who's got any comments they wish to make? I'm not seeing any hands up.
No, I was just going to say, as soon as I saw the report, I got my motorbike and went up and I looked at the road. Yeah, let's just give it a try and see what happens. It probably is quite positive. I was surprised at some of the speed limits on the papers, but They were going round the corners up, but by all means, let's give it a try.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks.
Councillor. Thank you.
Is that Councillor Jarvie's hand up?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's a great initiative and, you know, backed by evidence and previous trials. And yes, I certainly would approve it. The only one I was looking at, it's trying to work out which are I'm guessing that
Yes.
the radius rating, is that to do with the angle of the bend? How
I-
sharp?
I believe so, Councillor. Yes, yeah.
Right, okay. So yeah, 9 Titus is prime site B is now, you've not, even though that was a serious one, it says not recommended for prime, given this is the last spend in a series of 3 and road markings would extend into bend 2. So does that mean existing road markings? So is there any sort of warning, hard bend warning at that actual site, given that it was a serious
Yes.
accident and quite a steep radius, you know, and actually the serious accident, this is the lowest speed of
Yes.
impact out of all of them. So I just wondered why not just do it anyway for err on the side of caution. I don't know. It's Europe, obviously. I mean, it's great to have all this backed research. It really is. I think it's a great initiative. But yes, I just wonder why not just do it anyway.
Yes, so thank you, Councillor. It's at the moment, obviously, this has come from Transport Scotland, so the criteria, the toolkit that they've provided, it is quite strict at the moment about how we use this. So it was our design team that have looked at each of the locations where there has been a collision, and where it meets the criteria, this is where it's recommended. I can check that site location B for you and see what we already have, because as I say, earlier last year, we did undertake some bend improvement works anyway, so it's possible that has been picked up, but I can certainly take that away. And
yes, I wonder
check for
if
you.
if that's one of the ones where there actually is you know, sharp bend, you're getting a flag up to slow down. Maybe that is why it's the slowest.
Yes.
No idea. But given that it's serious and it's a 1, 2, a triple, I just wondered if that needs queried again. But otherwise, I think it's great information. And what is there to say again not to do it? You know, it's yes.
Okay,
no,
thank you,
very
Councillor
supportive.
Jarvie. Scott, perceptual rider information for maximisation of enjoyment and expertise.
Yes.
I think we'll stick with prime. Actually.
Prime, absolutely. I think somebody was trying to spell prime, I think.
Yes, well done. No, it's very detailed, and as has been said with Councillor Fraser, who's a biker himself, so he would know. I think credit to all involved in this, because an excellent piece of work. There's a couple of points I would make. One is anecdotal feedback. I attended COSLA on Friday, and they were talking about road safety and speeds. And they were talking about in Ayrshire, in one of the A77, 76, 70, whatever, one of their major A-class roads. And there had been something like 9 deaths, and 8 of them involved motorcycles. You know, so you can see the scale of the challenge and just how precarious potentially if folk, you know, well, I'm not going to ascribe any cause to these things, but I'm just saying this underpins how valuable this piece of work is. Now, I look at the folk involved in this, and I'm just quoting from the paper, pioneering, world-leading and award-winning research, which asks me the question, has this been implemented or trialled or similar schemes run elsewhere in the UK or further afield?
So it's really come from Transport Scotland. So they have trialled it on the trunk road network, but I believe we are one of the first local authorities to do this. Yes.
Oh no, well, I think we need to get that circulated and out there because it's a valuable piece of work. And if we're taking the initiative in something as serious as this, you know, I think credit to all, and we'll do our bit to publicise it. So unless there's any other points anybody wishes to make, I want to thank you for that. That was interesting, informative, and I think will be beneficial in years ahead. And we'll move to the recommendations, which are, we're asked to note the background of the proposed prime sign and road markings introduction, and to approve the installation of prime signage and road markings at the 6 locations on the A939 Grantown to Nairn Road. So are we happy to note and approve?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. And good
Thank you
luck,
very
Scott.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to now housing revenue account. That's the road.
It's Martin Gemmell, leads on line.
Okay, Martin, thank you for that. I think it's quite straightforward, unless there's anything you'd like to add to. Martin, good morning. Sorry, I was a wee bit ahead of myself there. It's a very straightforward paper. I don't think it requires much of an introduction. The information's there. It's quite detailed, and I'll just open it up for comments before we come to make a decision. Councillor, I'll go to Councillor Fraser as a vice chair.
Make the decision. I think there's nothing.
Okay,
Nothing jumps out.
I don't think there's anything to jump. My own take on this, these garages are basically storage containers. I know I say this every time. And I took a wee look into this. Thank you, ChatGPT. The average price for a 20-foot container in the Highlands, including that, is £30 a week. So, you know, that's what people are getting. So on that basis, even if we put in a 10% increase, we're still way below half what a similar rental would get. I know it's a container as opposed to a garage, but, you know, we're talking not quite like for like, but it's perilously close to that. So I'm happy to propose a 10%. I don't know if anyone wants to support that or any other views. Councillor Fraser, your housing, so.
I'd just go with the recommendation here. I think Paul wants to speak. Paul and Darbs.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with 10%. I mean, the other thing I'd note is the majority of the people that are renting these garages are not our tenants. So it's not even as if, so it's an even stronger reason that we should go high rather than low on this. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Babs.
Yes, thank you for the report. But last year we got the comparisons to the rest of Highland for rents, and Nairnshire was significantly at the very low end. And even with us raising the rent, it still put us at the very low end. Am I correct in thinking that we're still it's bargain hunt time in Nairn for as far as garage rents and the sites go? Am I still correct on that one?
There we go, Martin.
Is that a question to myself? Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I don't have the answer to that question. I'm sorry. I don't know what the rents are in the other areas, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I would be able to find that out and come back to you. That's okay.
Okay, I think Councillor Oldham's nodding away in
If you look at
agreement there.
Barbara,
with
if
me.
you
More
look at-
importantly, he's raised his hand. No.
If you look at 6.4, Barbara, it says what the average Highland wide is. It's £11.17. So we are under that still.
Ah, okay, thank you. Yes,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so we'll go to the recommendations, and are we agreed that we'll go for 10%?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, Martin, thank you for that, and we'll go with
Okay.
10%. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Right. Okay, I don't think there's any more. We'll move on to item 8, housing repairs and capital report. And okay, who's that? That's going to be, sorry.
Martin.
It's Martin again. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Martin. I was getting rid of you. Apologies. You know, we're usually very friendly here and there, contrary to what the Highland Council perception maybe in the wider field. So if you want to give us just a brief overview.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. So this brief is it's basically the report summarises the key performance outcomes from, as you can see in tables 1 to 3, of the housing repairs and capital report from 1st of April 25 to 31st of December 25. So for emergency repairs, our average, so this is basically the average completion time. So the target is 12 hours. Q3 25 performance was 6.4 hours, which is within target, and our performance remains strong in year to date, although it's slightly above the Highland average, which is 4.2 hours. On the non-emergency repairs, the target is 8.9 days. Our Q3 performance was 6.2 days. This is better than the Highland average of 7.3 days, and also the Scottish Housing Network benchmark of 9.1 days. Performance continues to show good operational control in that regard. And going on to void management, our average relet times, the target is 55.6 days. Our Q3 25 performance was 31.8 days. This is significantly better than Highland, which is 44.6 days and well below target. Void turnaround remains a major strength in this area. To summarise for you, all key indicators remain within target, demonstrating strong service delivery across Nairnshire. Emergency repairs show opportunity for further alignment with wider Highland performance, while non-emergency repairs and void management continue to outperform benchmarks. I'm happy to open up for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Fatmer. I just make one point, and it's on void management. There's an acute shortage of housing everywhere, and we know what we have to build. So void management is an invaluable part to play in that. And as you've referenced, I'm happy to see we're way better than the Highland average at 7.2. What do you ascribe that to in there? Why are we consistently getting void management right? What are we doing that maybe others could draw inspiration from? That's a compliment, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, well, yeah, I mean, I'm responsible for operationally responsible for repairs in Inverness and Nairn. So Nairnshire is one of my areas, and you know, I can comment as opposed to Inverness, but I wouldn't be able to comment as opposed to other Highland areas. I mean, yeah, we are just focusing really hard in pushing those stats and those KPIs, just trying to, we're engaging well with our contractors, I feel, and just, I think, maintaining good communication between our housing management colleagues and between housing management contractors and repairs. I think we have generally a good relationship in Nairnshire in particular, so I feel that probably does help us out in that regard. Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work, Martin. I can see Paul's got a hand up. Paul.
Yeah, Martin. I had a quick question to begin with. On page 49, there's a table, and it refers to date kitchen installation, date heating installation. I wonder what the significance of the word date was in relation to that.
Sorry, yeah, I'll just look at that just now. Apologies.
No, we're all scratching trying to get round to page 49.
It's appendix 1 of your document.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, councillor, what was your question again?
There are two. There's date. It says date kitchen installation, date heating installation, and what the significance of the word date was in that context. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I need to get back to you on that. Would you be able to? I'll just take a note of that.
Yeah, that's fine. My more specific issues is that my postbag at the moment, my mailbox rather than my inbox, I'm getting quite a few emails from residents, especially on the issue of mould, which seems to be an ongoing problem, and the tenants are not happy with the responses they are getting from officers.
Okay.
The other thing which is I am concerned about, you talk in that table I was referring to, talks about kitchen installations, and it's great we've done 11 new kitchens. But what does concern me is that I have at least one resident who was promised a kitchen in 2023, and still has not got a kitchen. Now, I understand the pressures on that are on you, but I do worry that we're in a situation where we are making promises to residents that we cannot meet. Now, it seems to me it'd be better if we can't install the kitchen, which is fair enough because funds are difficult, that we should just say, well, you're not going to get a kitchen. But it does worry me, but I've got a long mail thread here where I'm going to come back to me repeatedly and I'm going, well, I'll go back to the offices and this doesn't look good for the council. It frankly doesn't look good for me either because I'm failing to get a decent response. So I'm just concerned about that too.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point, and I'll take it on board. What I would say is I have to be absolutely clear: is we should not be making false promises to tenants, and it's certainly not something I would encourage the staff to do. Yeah, our kitchens and any capital upgrades are assessed. We've got a strict criteria that we have to assess, and it's essentially if it's a failure, it gets replaced, but it has to be a failure. So yes, if you were able to send me over the individual details of that case, I could look into it for you and get back to you.
I forwarded to Christine on Sunday. Would she be Christine McKenzie? Would that be the right place for it?
Yeah, Christine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the mould issue as well?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, mould and social housing in general across the Highlands is generally something that probably takes up about 40% of my time. It's quite an issue. It's something that we obviously we've got commitments with AWAB's law that's now it now mandates us, even though before it was always a priority. We're now mandated by law to make sure we address these issues within a set time scale. So yeah, it's always our priority. Compliance issues are always a priority. This is now a compliance issue for us. We will also prioritise it. However, we have lots of cases to deal with, and we try and treat everything as fairly consistently as we can, and we'll prioritise mould depending on the extent of it, whether it's an emergency or whether it's how urgent it is. So yeah, it is a problem for us. We're working within the resources we have to try and address those issues as best we can.
Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Martin, thanks for that. Mold's incredibly serious. It can actually ultimately be life-threatening mold.
Yeah.
Do you have guidelines, SOPs for how you deal with mold? You must have.
Yes. So the service is currently developing a new set of I suppose based on there's a policy going to be coming out based on AWAB's law. So that will change. It might. I'd need to find out exactly, but certainly there's going to be. I think there will be some changes in our approach to it, but it's always been a priority for myself in addressing mold issues. And say, yeah, we generally go down the route of, our maintenance officers get trained in dealing with damp and mold and how to identify it, but we generally go down the route of getting independent reports, and then we get an assessment done on those properties, and we act on the advice of that independent report. And we try and do it as quickly as we can, but we only have one or two contractors who have the expertise to carry out those reports. So I'm sure you can appreciate that it's not always carried out as quickly as we would like.
Okay, no, that's fine, and you seem to be addressing this, and if you're going to get Councillor Oldham's list, you can deal with specifics, which is all important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Councillor Jarvie, last point.
Okay, no, this is interesting hearing about the mold because it is a health, especially asthmatic kids are causing asthma and things with the sport. Now, what is the time scale between you getting an independent report assessing and the actual action of it happening? And does that also, is that mandatory or is that advisory the result of that report. And I'm concerned that Nairn has got a lot, you know, entire estates of much older property. So how is the funding for repairs divvied up? Is it per house of, you know, a number of council houses, or does it take into account the state, or, you know, that we do have these you know, 50-year-old properties that people are living in that are obviously going to throw up repairs, and, you know, there's things like full rewiring, that's a safety thing, and there's none done. So is that due to funding, I guess? But I mean, that's really unfortunate. And solar panels, that would save people so much money on their bills. How is that assessed for people to help save money? And, you know, it's the whole eco thing. We're spending a fortune on brand new houses and not building many houses because of the price of them to hit the eco targets, and we're not looking after our existing property to bring people's bills down, which is also eco targets. So I just wonder how that funding pot is calculated for Nairn.
From a repairs delivery point of view, so I believe it's the fund is divided up between the wards, and it's depending on the amount of houses in the ward. I think that's how it's. I would need to speak to the repairs manager to exactly how those budgets are divided. That is my belief. That would be Lachy McDonald. But I can go back to Lachy after this meeting and I can get that clarified for you. Yeah. Sorry. I was listening to what you were saying, Councillor, but I've kind of lost my train of thought. What was the first part of your question?
Sorry, I'm a dreadful waffler. Sorry, yes, it's was there account taken of ages of property that would obviously need more repairs sooner, so would eat into the budget. I'm just wondering, are the budgets fair when you've got older housing estates? My first part of the question, it was good to hear that process about the independent report, assess, then the action. What is the time scale for that? Is it a recommendation or is it mandatory?
So it's an independent report that we commission. The findings, I mean, yeah, we're not mandated to do what it says. However, I think we'd be very silly to not do what it says, especially if we have to, you know, if we get to like a stage 2 complaint and onwards, and then we're having to speak to the SPSO and stuff like that. We have to be able to show that we are doing everything possibly that we can for that tenant. We do that anyway, but we need to be able to evidence that. So we would always carry forward any recommendations from reports that we've commissioned. And then that's our practice. That's what we do. You know, I would have to say though that in a large amount of cases we receive those reports, it does tend to it comes back to condensation as being the cause of damp and mold, and that comes down to tenants maybe not ventilating the property correctly, or also drying clothes over radiators and things like that. Essentially, ventilation is key to preventing damp and mold when condensation is the cause. If the cause comes back that it is another type of damp and mold where it's penetrating or it's rising damp, like that, which is actually makes up quite not a lot of our cases, to be honest, then we obviously action any repairs that needs to happen to sort that out as well. But yeah, we always act on these reports.
Okay, maybe if it's drying washing, maybe we need to just give people a whirly, give them a washing line somewhere to dry. I know with our weather, I dry stuff on radiators, you know, but maybe look at that.
I think Bob's, the officers know their business, and I think it might be worthwhile, Martin, further down the road when the new guidelines for mold treatment comes out, maybe come along to a future ward business meeting to give us an update. And we can discuss the allocation of funds. We can, you know, get better informed about the new mold treatment. I think we'd all benefit from that further down the road. So in the interim, Martin, thank you. No, Councillor Fraser.
I just raised an issue. I too have been out to flats with mould, fairly new ones that I wouldn't have expected the mould to be in, but it surprised me. It took 2 calls to go out there. But one of the concerns I do have is you're signing off these houses, these voids. I think it's officers all dealt with from Inverness. But one of the problems is some of these voids have been signed off. I've got one here had 13 faults in it and wasn't fit for letting, and that got passed to Nairn. At the end of the day, Nairn has to deal with these faults. Now my concern here is that we're signing off houses that are really not fit for occupation, just to try and keep within statistics.
Okay. No, that's definitely
not really
not
on.
Yeah, that's not something that I would.
It is I've got evidence, so we know about it, but that has to be dealt with.
Well, sorry, that can be presented to
but
the appropriate committee at the appropriate time.
This is the appropriate committee. It's an Nairn house.
Okay, if you're able to forward me those details, then I can look into it and I can
It's
provide
a clerk of works dealing with it. He's dealing with it.
But I think, Laurie, if you've made that sort of accusation, I think you should actually forward the information to Mark.
Well, I can do that, that's all right.
We'd appreciate having that to know what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. I'll address it. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, a valid point, Councillor Fraser. What we'll do is look forward to speaking to you in the future. And I think in the interim, unless there's anything else, we'll just move to the recommendations. And that is the committee's invited to note the information provided on housing performance the period 1st April 25 to 31st of December. So noted. Yep.
Noted.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Martin. Okay. We'll now move
Thanks very
to.
much. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Thanks, Martin. We'll now move to community regeneration. Now we've got
Sarah Lamb's on.
Sarah's on. Sarah, I thought it was Fiona. Sarah, how are you?
Oh,
Good morning,
Right.
everyone.
Good. Okay, I think it's quite straightforward here. Do you want to give us a very brief overview, or it's?
I
Sarah?
can do, Chair. Yeah. So I can just briefly update on the financial situation and the available funds for Nairnshire. So a total of well, just under 102,000 has been committed to date. Further to this, there's been a small underspend of just over £2,000 that we've carried forward as well. So that gives a current available funding balance of £57,601. And this comprises of an element of the place-based investment programme and the Coastal Communities Fund. So we have one application under consideration today, that's from the Highland Council for the Nairn Viewfield Stables renovation and redevelopment, which is requesting the remaining funds. So the project itself is to undertake repairs to the roof and external walls of the Viewfield Stables. The building's a common good asset, and the repairs would safeguard the building for future development. So it's within the application, it's highlighted the future development potential to be a commercial space with up to 3 small ground floor units and 1 larger upper floor unit, and the internal kit out would be a phase 2. So the project has scored well across the board against the RAG assessment that was undertaken. It's been given an amber there for project robustness, just on the fact that the costs have been estimated at this stage. It is a detailed estimate, but it will still have to go out for formal quotes. There has been a contingency built in there, but there's always just a risk that costs could increase once the formal quotes come in. But alongside the contingency, there has been alternative funders identified in case there is an uplift required. And the community engagement and support, we did receive a satisfactory evidence there in terms of previous meeting minutes where the project was discussed, and also it just highlights a good fit as well with the local place plan. So happy to take any questions that you have on the application.
Okay, thank you for that, Sarah. You stole my thunder a wee bit there, I have to say, with the community engagement and mentioning the local place plan, because regeneration of old buildings is front and centre in the local place plan. I'm very supportive of this at many levels, not least because if we don't use it, we're very probably going to lose it. Notwithstanding, this is a very worthwhile project. And it supports the direction of travel that I think we're all keen to see, and that's where the Nairn Common Good Fund becomes, dare I say it, more entrepreneurial and starts maybe to invest in projects where suitable local investment opportunities occur. I'm very, very supportive of this application, so I'll open this up. I'm seeing hands. Councillor Fraser.
Oh, just let's get on with it.
Okay, I don't see any hands up, so are we, thank you, Sarah, for that. Are we, I'll just go to recommendations. Oh, just read them through. Committee is divided to consider the CRF application presented, agree whether to approve, defer or reject each application. An approval of funding should detail the amount approved and outline any conditions of funding members wish to attract to the approval over and above the required technical conditions. A deferral would allow an application to resubmit the current application at a future date with updated information, or for the project to be approved subject to further funding become available. A rejection would mean that the application will not proceed, and any future application to the fund should be brought forward initially as a new expression of interest. We have three options, that's to approve, defer or reject, and I'm in favour of approving. Are we all agreed? Okay. And the last thing is agreed the approved CRF grant award for the application up to the value of the available area allocation. So we're agreed there, and that's the two recommendations, and that's unanimously agreed. So Sarah, good luck, and thank Lewis for his hard work in going into this, and yourself. So look forward to getting an update in due course and moving forward. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you all. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks, Sarah. Now, we'll move to probably the most substantial item, which is the Nairn Common Good Fund. And I've divided this into 4 parts, actually, because
If I may, there's the invitation to pay parking with a paper next, which was.
oh, sorry, I just saw Nairn Common Good Fund. Sorry, apologies. We have a paper here, which is the Nairn Common Good Fund invitation to pay. I think this was inspired by Councillor Oldham querying quite rightly the specific charges, and this was deferred at the last area committee. So we've now got the required information. Have we got this Ross here or no?
Ross is online. I see.
Ross, I see.
Put his hand up.
Councillor Oldham, yes. Ross, good morning.
Good morning.
Paul.
Okay, Ross, thank you for coming along. I have a number of questions on this paper. I'm referring in particular to the tables on page 65. I was comparing them to last year. So my first question is the total transactions recorded for this year is 71,000, which is a remarkable increase because last year it was 19,500. And that would also suggest that the actual income per transaction was under 50p, which seems kind of unlikely. So I wonder whether you're confident in that figure of 71,000.
I'm just going to check it if I can while I'm here, because that does seem like a big difference.
Yeah.
Bear with me 2 seconds. It seems a bit. Hold on. I will double check that figure. It seems awful high. I think
Yeah.
it might mean to be 17.
That seems more likely. Okay.
I do apologise.
My second question is, you have 3 rows which show the gross income. Now these all end with these are all in non-integer numbers of pounds, which slightly surprised me. So my suspicion is that you are taking out of that the transaction fee. if I'm right and that's the case, why are we also paying separately costs to be recharged card transaction and processing fees of £2,362?
No, so the income is occasionally in smaller numbers, particularly when it comes to things like Ringo. It doesn't quite work out the same as, you know, just putting a 50 pence in a meter, because Ringo take a slice that is not, it's not passed on as income to us, if you know what I mean.
That's fine. Okay, well, if
So
that's the case, that then what follows on from that then is my next question, which is if those figures are net income rather than gross income, which is what you're suggesting.
no, it's gross, because so when money goes to Ringo,
yes,
so Ringo will take, so say if it's a £2 transaction and Ringo take 30 pence,
yes,
they will only pass down
£1.70.
Yes, so
I understand that, but surely, okay, you and I have a different definition of the word gross, but that still brings me on to my next question, which is you've got in the next table, your first row is card transaction and processing fees, for which you have an additional amount. Now, if you're saying that you've already taken transaction fees off in the gross, in what you call the gross income, I'm wondering why we also have a separate amount for the additional chunk of money, where that's coming from.
So the separation is, so Ringo is separate to card transactions. That's for the card transactions on the machine.
Right. Okay.
So when
yeah.
Okay. So the income from Ringo comes as income down from Ringo.
Yeah.
The card transactions, that's where the transaction fee comes from. It's only the actual card transactions on the machine.
Okay, so that brings me back to our first point, which is that you're not showing gross income here. What you're actually showing is a mixture of gross and net income. Okay, so my final question is that the card transaction and processing fees are significantly up from the previous year. It was £1,742 the previous year. I wondered whether you could explain why, whether you had any feelings of why that had gone up. Have the percentage of fees by the card processors gone up, or is it just reflected in more card transactions?
I'll need to look at the detail. Give me 2 seconds.
I think that there's an element here, Paul. There's a couple of things at play here. If the total transactions, if we don't have an accurate figure for that, it's very hard to get the card transaction, you know, the actual processing fees. I would come back.
This is why I wanted to come back to this committee.
Yes, I get this, and actually, it's actually the reporting. If you look at the gross income, which I am like you, I don't see that as gross income, because gross income could be should be charging the card transaction and processing fee. Now, I don't know if the Ringo deduction includes the processing fee. I would think it's highly likely that it doesn't, but I think what we need here is a breakdown of these figures, which would start off with the gross fee, which is the total amount that the customer has paid. We then deduct the charges, so we get, I think all the information's there, Ross. It's just not been presented clearly. What Paul is putting forward, I think, is a sensible thing to do for the next time we look at this. Plus, if we get information on this just now, because as he's highlighted, the transactions, that's obviously not correct.
So I've just looked. It's 17,000. The 7 and the 1 are the wrong way round. It was a typo on my part.
Okay. How many transactions were there last year?
So last year, so that was 24-25 was 17,246.
Okay, and that resulted in the 2,362 card transaction and processing fees. I'm just trying to do a sort of direct analysis. If we know how many transactions we had, we can get a fair understanding if the charges are constant. You know, the percentage that they're taking off from the cards, I'd imagine would be constant unless that's changed. Yes. So do you know how many transactions there were the previous year? Is that information you've got readily accessible?
Yeah, if you give me 2 seconds, I'll just quickly give you the card transaction numbers.
Total transactions was 19678. So it's a reduced number of transactions from the previous year by about £2,000. 2,500, which again makes the fact that the card transaction and processing fees have gone up seem a bit curious.
Just very quickly pulling up and if you can bear with me, pulling up the actual card transaction numbers. Oops.
I think what we need here, I think we'll have to defer this again, actually, till we get accurate information, because at the end of the day, we can't approve something that, and I mean this, we don't have full oversight of all the figures. I think you've got the figures, and it's maybe just presenting them at a future date in a better format, if we can do that. So I think we've raised the areas of concern that we have. So Ross, are you okay to take this away and come back at a future date with the detailed information, which would be the gross charges and then a breakdown? Because obviously there's something happened when we're paying more in transaction charges when there's 2,000 less transactions. These things tend to be 3-5 year agreements with credit card companies. So there's something not quite gelling. You'll see.
I can certainly go back and have a look and bring back a breakdown, gross income, and the other figures. I'm just having a look. The card transaction numbers are similar, so I'm not entirely sure where I would need to start looking at values, because yeah, I need to look at the values involved, because I've just looked at the transactions and they're about similar on the cards last year to this year, so I'm not sure.
I think, Ross, if we're comfortable, we'll just go away and we'll get that to come back.
Chair, I see Councillor Oldham's got his hand up.
Councillor Oldham, sorry, Paul, it's a long way away.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Ross, I'm sorry, this is not strictly on the agenda, but since we have Ross here, can I just ask, back in November 2024, you undertook a consultation on parking in Nairn. I wonder whether you had any thoughts as to when we might get an outcome for that consultation.
So we were asked for a committee item on that, obviously after your last ward business meeting in December. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to prepare, so I will attempt to get a report pulled together, and we can either take it to a ward business meeting, or if you would rather it come to a committee, we can do that.
Business meeting then. Chair, if I could suggest, it maybe comes to a business meeting and then we take a full report to committee after that.
Yep, that would be sensible. Councillor Oldham, are you happy with that? Yes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's all I was going to suggest too. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jarvie.
Okay, Paul's covered most of it. Well done, Detective. The only other thing that I'd asked for before to come into this year's report was, could we have the number of camper vans that are actually paying? You know, the tenors, how many tenors are going into the machines? And that should come through these other methods of payment, not just cash. I mean, there must be that was going to be looked at, and I don't see that's there. But yeah, I mean, our costs, our Market car park isn't even covering our costs. I think we need to PR the Market to pump up those machines. Okay, but yeah, I agree. I would rather defer to get a bit more information. Thank you, if you don't mind.
I'm happy with that. Ross, if you're comfortable, come to our business meeting and we can, attend.
Yeah,
and we'll just see
I can certainly come to a ward business meeting, and we can do a wider Nairn thing, and certainly we can discuss these car parks as well.
Yep. Okay, that's fine.
Better publicity.
Okay, Ross, thank you for that. That's much appreciated. We look forward to seeing you at our business meeting, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Okay, guys.
Right.
We'll move on to item 11. I was jumping the gun just a wee bit there, which is Nairn Common Good, and I'm intending to take this in 4 sections, which will be the 24-25 accounts, the 25-26 Q3, and the 26-27 budget, and then lastly comments on the Nairn Common Good engagement group. So we'll go to the 2024-25 accounts, I'll open that up for comments and scrutiny. Councillor Fraser.
Let me find them first. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Sorry. That's what happens to these.
well, I'll just
Carry on.
make a
Find it.
couple of points.
425.
3 points. It was the revaluation of Sandown, I think, which is which in light of the Delney sale, which has reflected the value, which is marking it down. So that's probably a sensible thing to do. The second point is the accounts are not audited. It's just a total common good balances. Would it be worth making an inquiry? We don't want to generate additional costs, but it may well be something we want to look at, to have our individual accounts audited. So would it be worth those just to have a look to see what the cost that would involve? Right, and then
Come in on those 2 points just now.
absolutely, yes.
So thank you. Yeah, in terms of the Sandown revaluation gains, as stated at 5.4.1 of the report, our property and estates team revalued the lands, and that was in light of the sale figure of adjoining lands, not sale of our lands, but a private sale that took place next door, and that is what led to that land, our Sandown lands, being marked down in terms of value. The audit of balances, this is fairly standard, and it's very standard. This happens every year, and the full audited accounts will, as you see later on in the report, we've got full audited accounts that are coming in later on in the year, so that will come back at some point.
Concerned about my error. Okay, I'll open that up. Is there hands up? Anybody there, Councillor Fraser?
The only thing about the property devaluation, I think it'll come back. Eventually, a bypass goes in, it'll come back. I'm not really that
Okay,
bothered at this stage.
right. Well, if there's no other points, we'll move on to the 25-26 Q3 update. There was a slight typo in there, which was I picked up. If you want to speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, you'll see it's point 6 committee on the report. It refers to Q3 24-25. That should read Q3 25-26. My apologies, and we'll correct that in a minute.
That's fine. Okay, the points I was wanting to make was it's excellent. We've got a surplus of 56,000. The central support costs has been a review by the Chief Officer for Finance. Can you give an indication how that's affected things? Because that seems to have.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, my understanding is that review is ongoing. I'm not able to update further on it at this stage, but there will be further details that I'll be able to share later on in the calendar year.
Okay. Right. I'll open this up, and do I see any hands? Councillor Fraser? No, nothing from Councillor Jarvie. Okay.
Well, the Sandown loss is that's a bit of a shocker. That's unfortunate, but I don't know. It cannot be looked at again. I don't. Well, I suppose that land is as worth as much as who wants it or what they want to do with it. But that's very unfortunate. We'll just need to bear that in mind with other areas.
It's unfortunate, but let's look at the positives. It means the estates teams are looking at these things and taking a current view. It's not one of these things that historically sits there and all of a sudden we get a surprise if something was to happen or go, and we've got it there, a valuation that's not accurate. So we're better to be accurate as we know what we're dealing with. As you say, it's not got any real impact, as nothing's going to happen to the land in the foreseeable future. That's
Chair, I see. Sorry, Councillor Oldham's got his hand up. It's online.
Sorry, apologies, Paul. Your hand is tiny, not your hands. I'm just saying that as it appears on the. Yes, I get it. As it appears on the screen. So that might be a better way to indicate in future rather than trust my eyesight. Apologies.
Yeah,
moving to you, Paul.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I was just going to say that I'm kind of agreeing with you, really. The valuation of Sandown land is only just so we have some value on the books. Until we get to the point of actually trying to sell it, then who knows? It's just so that we have a nominal value. It's like things like, in theory, of course, Nairn golf course has a value. It's owned by the common good, and circumstances could arise where suddenly that comes back into ownership of the common good, and suddenly then its value could change significantly. It's just, but until these things happen, it's kind of all pretty academic, really. Although I don't think we need to worry about any of these things until we're actually at the point where where we actually are considering a sale.
Yes, absolutely. I take your point about the Dunbar as well. It's one of these things, historical. Okay, interesting point. I think a lot of you were about at the time in office. What was Sandown originally valued? Was it 20 or 22 million?
No, we're at 21.5 million offer.
Aye, which I think is maybe skewing folks' perception of things. There was back in the day, which must have been
15 years ago, I think.
15 years ago, you know, Sandown was valued, you know, McDermott should have been going full steam ahead.
Yeah.
I would suggest this was just before 2009, the crash, and Sandown was under offer, you know, et cetera, at 21.5 million. So it shows you how things change 15 years ago. Okay, we'll move now on to where we're going. We're going to the third part, which is the budget for 26-27. There's a couple of points I was going to raise, and that was yes, the Nairn Games. I think, Lewis, could you give us a flavour of what's happening, what has happened, and what's happening? I should have maybe referred to what has happened in the previous section, but I thought it was better just to take the two things. It's a moving situation. Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is a new situation in 2026. The council is going to run the Nairn Highland Games this year as a Common Good Fund event. Previously, you'll recall, or you'll be aware rather, that the Games event was managed by the local charity, the Nairn Games Committee, and they have asked us this year to step in and manage the Games and run the event. The Games Committee charity will continue to operate the Games arena as an attraction within our event. We're going to engage the services of a professional event management planner who will work with Ali Garrow, our Common Good Fund project officer, and myself to produce and manage our event management plan for the 2026 Games. And that event manager will also take the management plan through the council's multi-agency safety advisory process, which will ensure that all appropriate services and partners are actively involved, and that is so that we improve the health, safety and welfare provision at the event. And this is largely due to the significant numbers that we see at the Nairn Games. Last year, we had data from Nairn Bid which showed that there were 16,000 mobile phone pings in the Games area. So it's a significant, very well attended event, and we have to make sure that health, safety and welfare provision is as high as it can be. Committee will note that the 2025-26 Q2 monitoring statement shows that overall expenditure is expected to be around £15,000 over budget for events and festivals, and that's largely due to additional costs which were associated with the 2025 Nairn Games, and that's shown in 6.3.2 of the report. And we'll be doing all that we can to try and ensure that the Games in 2026 is a break-even event in terms of costs, and we'll provide further updates on that to the May committee. And also I'd like to just make the point, Chair, that wherever possible, Ali Garrow and myself will be engaging very actively with local charities to try and make sure that they can work with us to strengthen the Games for 2026 and beyond, and try and find roles for them in the Games going forward.
Okay, thank you for that, Lewis. I think it's important to stress here that the new arrangements is that we're working hand in glove with the Games Committee. This allows the Games Committee to focus on where their strengths lie, which is in organising the actual games. What Lewis and Ali are putting in the events management team is the overall picture. We're actually providing the template for which the Games can operate in a safe environment. But it's important, two things are recognised. A, the contribution that the Nairn Common Good Fund is making to support and promote the Games. And secondly, that this is a collaboration between the Nairn Games Committee and our officers representing the common good. So this is to be welcomed. It's building on the success, and well done to all involved at the Games Committee and Highland Council officers, especially Ali Garrow, who put in a massive shift at this year's game, acting as the main point of contact for health and safety, etc., etc. So, an encouraging year this year, and we look to develop this. So I'll open this up. Councillor Fraser, you're beside me, so if you...
No, no comments on it.
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay. I don't see any hands up, either virtual or physical, from Councillor Oldham, and nothing from Councillor Jarvie. So if there's no comments, we'll move on to the fourth part of this, which is the Nairn Common Good engagement. And I think I'll open this up if there's comments to be made. Has anybody got comments to make on the Common Good engagement group?
I think it's a slight improvement the last couple of meetings. We've sort of moved away from the how would I say it, the
Personal agendas or
personal agendas and the historical parts of the common good, and we're now concentrating more on the future and the development of the common good. So I'm willing to carry on for the moment. I think we still need a review in the end of our 2-year period.
We'll have the review at the end. Like Councillor Fraser, I suggest that things have changed. We've moved on from going through the same old arguments, and now folk are getting into what I think is the real role of us as a useful sounding board for future projects and for developments we wish to see. So, as you say, we're
getting better engagement.
It's getting better, so I'm not going to do it's good. I'm seeing nothing from Councillors Oldham or Jarvie. So if that's the case, and I would say we'll move to the recommendations to agree the Nairn Common Good Fund Statement of Accounts for 24-25 and the final 24-25 monitoring statement. To note the position of Nairn Common Good Fund and 25-26 outturn as shown in the Q3 monitoring statement against the budget presented, appendices 2A and 2B. Thirdly, agree the Nairn Common Good budget for 26-27, and to fourthly, note the summary of discussions from the Nairn Common Good Fund engagement group held on the 16th of October 25 and agree the revised Nairn Common Good Fund engagement group terms of reference as outlined at Appendix 4. So, where appropriate, are we agreed to note and the only one we agree is 1 and 3 and note 2 and 4. Is that yes, Sarah? That's 2 thumbs up.
Yes, thank you.
2 physical thumbs up from Councillor Oldham. Positive. Right. We'll now move to the ward discretionary budget. Lewis, if you want to just give us a bit of background on this one.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, again, committee, this is our normal standard scrutiny item, and committee is invited to note that since the last meeting of the committee, we have approved one application to the ward discretionary fund, and that was made by the Nairn Community and Arts Centre, and it was for a contribution towards an automatic door, and we awarded them £4,748.40 from the ward discretionary fund for their project. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lewis. Very supportive for this application. I would just, how much is left in the ward discretionary?
I don't have that figure to hand, Chair, but I can circulate it next meeting.
Not a large amount, I don't think.
It's not a significant sum of money that's
okay. But if there are any other projects out there that folk wish to apply, no, it's the 1st of April or 31st of March is the deadline. So I'm very supportive of this. I don't see any other hands. I think we're all agreed to support this, and which we have, and it's just for noting. So, okay, we'll move on to the last report, which is for the minutes, and these are circulated for noting. So, and that's for the Nairnshire Committee held the 24th November 25 and approved by the Council on the 11th of December. So, happy to note.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we've finished here at 11:30, which is 2 hours ahead of our scheduled 1:30 closure. So maybe the officers could take a note and think, well, we may appear to run on at times. 2 hours would appear to be excessive. So we should maybe just rein in the diary times allocated. Okay, that's fine, guys. Thank you. Thanks to officers. Thanks to everybody who attended, and we'll see you up in corridor tonight.